Nigerians are sick and tired of hearing, "Oh, we have taken another loan. Oh, bag of rice has increased. Oh, there is protest for salary increment." Nigerians are saying this, and that alone is exhausting, and it is showing through the citizens' faces. Nigerians have heard lots and lots of unpleasant excuses, and the country is drowning, and there is nobody, absolutely nobody to help the country. And the annoying reality is that the citizens are the ones who need to calculate how to feed their family with a shrinking and depreciating naira. That is why the question we must ask is not just how Nigeria got here, but why Nigeria cannot afford to stay here. Nigeria as a nation simply cannot afford to go broke all the time and year after year. It's not just about economic argument, it is a survival argument for over 220 million people who call Nigeria home. And by the end of this video, I will give you just one solution on how Nigeria can tackle this broken situation. I just have one, but if you have other solutions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. Once it was the end of 2025, Nigeria's total public debt, total and overall debt, stood at 159.28 trillion naira. What I mean is that since President Tinubu came into power, the debt has increased by 45% in just 2 freaking years. The rate Nigerians keep borrowing and borrowing without consequences is bitterly annoying. It is like someone that is trying to catch a train that has already left the station. That is how it is in Nigeria. The disturbing thing is not just the debt, it is the ultimate cost of servicing that debt. The government is projected to spend approximately 11.6 billion naira, which is 15 trillion naira. All this gigantic money is just to service the debt in 2026. We are in August and we are already talking about servicing debt. Okay now. This money represents nearly half of the country's projected revenue for the entire year. And also, in the first 9 months of 2025, the federal government spent over 67% of its revenue on repaying debt, aka they were using our revenue in servicing the country's debt. Let me put it simple for you, or let me put an illustration again for you in particular. For every 100 naira the government earns, 67 naira is immediately sent out to pay the creditors before the remaining money is spent on Nigeria as a country. You won't see any money, or the country won't see any money until they give their creditors their money first. With this illustration and one example I gave earlier, that means Nigeria is running on a Ponzi economy. And what Ponzi economy is like you taking a new loan so that you can pay off the old debt. The 2026 budget is 68.32 trillion naira, and I am very sure that everyone has heard about the budget online or they've seen it on newspaper. But the government will only expect 36.87 trillion naira in revenue from that 68.32 trillion naira. The deficit of over 31 trillion naira must be covered by borrowing, just borrowing and nothing more, nothing less. My dear, that is not sustainable and that is unacceptable. It is like a treadmill that you are running on faster and faster and faster, but you are going nowhere. You are just stagnant on that same spot and you are just sweating. That is how it is in Nigeria. It is really well. When the government are done in spending all this money on interest payment, there is nothing left for you. And if you think the small money that is left for you, you will see it with your eyes, then you don't know the kind of Nigeria government you have. The budget for roads, healthcare, education, and security is nothing to write home about. Then the allegedly corruption of stealing money from the Nigeria budget is also there. Like I said, allegedly. Please don't misquote me, but if you think it is true, please drop your fact in the comment section. This is why, despite all the talks of economic reforms and economic boost, over 79% of Nigerians are now considered poor and extremely vulnerable. Once December reaches in this 2026, nearly 8 out of 10 Nigerians will be classified as broke and poor people. The crisis are seen in the country's daily life, whether it is in food inflation or fuel inflation or anything that has to come with inflation. The crisis is beating the living hell out of Nigeria. Between 2024 and 2025, the prices of staple foods like rice and corn increased by over 50%. This year, it increased again, and if you think that the price of rice decreased, then you haven't checked other foodstuffs, because it is not only rice Nigerians eat. Aside from the inflation here and inflation there and inflation up and inflation down, Nigeria is damn and stinkily rich. Like rich. Nigeria has oil, gas, minerals, land, gold, lithium, silver, everything. I mean, what does this country not have? But yet, the country is always tightening their belt and wearing big boots because of how terrible the government have borrowed without thinking of the consequences in any sort of way. Even the finance minister himself have acknowledged that Nigeria cannot continue to finance development primarily through borrowing. He said this before the government even began to negotiate a fresh and brand new $1.25 billion loan from the World Bank. This is a type of contradiction that drives the common Nigerian crazy. After coming out and saying one good thing that feels right, you go behind and do the bad thing. The government solution, that is the solution they found for themselves, aside from the annoying borrowing they have been doing, their second solution was to simply increase taxes. They have been heavy push for tax reforms, which is to tax and to tax and to tax the Nigerians. When the government checked their assumptions on taxing the people, it kind of made sense to them. But the government forgot to check that the Nigerians has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios in the entire world. And also, Nigerians have trust issues and capacity issue with the government. They are still asking to this day, how can you ask Nigerians that are already struggling to survive and to put food on the table, to make them to pay more taxes, and they are not seeing no return on their money? If you check countries that tax their people, they at least see 80% of their return of their taxes. There have been companies that have been taxed in Nigeria and the government cannot give an account of what the company tax money was used. Now, that same government want to tax the Nigerians that are managing life. It does not add up for me. It does not add up even in my calculator. It does not add up. There are some experts that are already saying that a good tax system should raise revenue efficiently and also support economic growth. But for the common Nigerian, a good tax system means that the government fixes the gutter holes, keeps the light on, makes schools and education system work. These Nigerians are not willing to pay more until they see the value of their money. I don't blame Nigerians. I don't really blame them at all. Now, here is my solution for you. If we can borrow our way out and we cannot tax our way out of poverty, so my dear, my answer is simple and it is just one. And that one is that it is called production and exporting. Nigeria must stop being a country that consumes, and they need to start being a country that creates and exports those products to other countries. Aside from oil, there have been small and significant shifts that is taking place in non-oil sector. In 2025, which is last year, Nigeria achieved its highest ever non-oil sector earnings, reaching 6.5 $1.1 billion, which is a significant increase from the previous year. Nigeria exported 281 different products with the likes of cocoa, seeds, and processed goods to about 120 countries. The Netherlands, Brazil, and India are buying our cocoa, urea, and cashew nuts. This is a good sign for me that the world is still hungry for what Nigeria produces. But I have a quick change. Instead of the 282 different products, we can also increase it to 500 different products. Nigeria can do that. It just needs open-minded people who need to start production and export outside. But Nigeria's government needs to do something, because 282 different products for the 200 million gigantic people that are living in the country is too small, and that's why the poverty rate is increasing. If you increase it to 500, at least you could see a change, or you will see a change, a significant change, more employment, more entrepreneurs, and more different mindset from the Nigerians. This is the way forward for me, instead of the government to be borrowing to pay their old debts. And since Nigeria has one of the youngest populations in the world, with a median age of just 18.1 years, it is a sign that the government can elevate the young people to work. The government will need to choose either the young Nigerian population will be a fantastic and a great asset, or that same young population will be their greatest liability. The government will need to choose between these two.
How do you want to tax people who are fending for themselves, who you are not even providing capital for their businesses? All right, I cannot see any agencies, or you understand, any program running presently for the SMEs in order for them to have the fund to support their businesses before we talk about tax. Tax is not the first thing. You cannot tax people who can barely feed.